Welcome, everyone. My name is TruePowerIsMine, and this is Special Report. This is the redo of the one that YouTube or whoever deleted from my channel with Dr. Jacqueline Battalora. She is an author, she is an educator, and she is a credit to the whole human family. And Doctor, you there on the line? Oh, awesome, awesome. So I know that you're really pressed for time, and once again, I just want to tell the world and everyone we are so lucky for her to share her valuable time with us. So we just want to jump right into it. Her area of expertise is the invention of this notion or this ideal or concept of the white race, which equates to white supremacy. And why is that so fundamentally important to society is that it affects us all, whether you're in the so-called privileged class or you're in the disenfranchised class, it affects us. And there are ways. I just want to start off real quick, and I think this was probably one of the best questions I've ever asked. Once again, doctor, if you could say something to a young white person, they're growing up in a lower middle class situation, a lot of racist activity around them, what could you tell them so that they could possibly destroy that cycle? Hmm. Right, right. Because collectively our voices will, matter. And it's like you said on the last interview, it often seems like nothing really changes in America until white folks feel the pain. Take the opioid epidemic. Nothing changes at all. So why or how? I guess the real question is: we know all the I guess the results of all these behaviors, right? How can we identify people to where they cannot be in positions of power, whoever they may be, to keep them from doing harm to people based on racial ideals? Yes, yes. Hmm. Right. Right. Hold on one second, doctor. I just got to, one of the viewers was saying it's hard to hear you, so I need to find a cord to hardwire the big speaker into. Oh my gosh, this is so typical. All right, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna have to dip into the other room. Be right back. Sorry, folks. Still trying to find the cord from last show, and Eureka. Hopefully this should.
Um, Hold on, ugh, I'm trying. I'm trying my hardest here to make this happen.
An idea to
Yes,
bring
it works.
together a group of remarkable people to help
All
save
right.
the universe.
Okay, guys, I'll be right. Hello, doctor. I got you back. Thank God.
All right.
I'm using a
Wonderful.
now I know the audio has to be right. Totally different device and everything. Oh, jeez. Jeez
So
Louise.
should I go back and answer your question, which was about what advice or what can be done to get people who are white people who are steeped in white supremacy, whether of the white liberal version or
Yes.
of the more overtly white supremacist? I'm happy to answer that. So we need to have a reorientation to our understanding, our fundamental thinking about people. And we need to understand that white people did not exist until 1681 when they were first asserted in law. Before that, people, of course, had low levels of melanin, but they were never called white people. And that this category of humanity called white people, and that gave rise to white supremacy as an ideology, came about to divide workers from each other, so that we would be separated into the white laborers versus the non-white laborers, so that we can all serve the interests of the 1%.
Yes.
So that we're so busy fighting each other and blaming each other that we're not focused on the 1% who are accumulating all the wealth and degrading our access to resources and opportunity.
And that's what it's actually, it's all about. Let's face it, the money at the end of the day. That's what keeps a lot of this nonsense rolling, and that's what everyone strives for. I mean, I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day, and they were talking about the image of President Trump. He represents what so many people want to be: a rich white guy who can say whatever the hell he has to say or wants to say without consequence. But I'm thinking that's the wrong way to be anyhow. I mean, why do you want to go and degrade people? Seriously, why would you want to come out of your home, point at somebody and degrade them, whether you degrade them based on religious, preferences, oh, they're eating a pork sandwich, they're going to hell, or, on a racial, obviously the memes for that. It's like, how do you think we can actually deprogram human beings? I mean, I guess to be a little more empathetic.
Well, we have to start with honest versions of history.
Yes.
That's a good. It's just a helpful piece of the puzzle, right? And we are fed such versions of, especially American history, that are just anything but truthful.
Yes.
They are not the pieces of information we're given are not untrue in and of themselves, but they're so stripped away from the rest of the picture that it certainly couldn't be called anything close to the truth.
Right. But see, doctor, if we go to the truth, this is where the conversation starts becoming rather uncomfortable very fast. You know, how do we start justifying our behavior on a global level when our history basically represents a history of conniving and theft and brutality?
Exploitation, colonization, rape.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what? So what? So what? It's uncomfortable. So what? Like, so look, being comfortable isn't a guarantee in getting educated. And more growth is taking place if you are finding yourself uncomfortable than it would be otherwise. I mean, you think about therapy 101. You go, you talk, share your feelings, but it's in those moments where things are emotionally really hard that you're probably going to get somewhere and make real progress and have some real growth. Well, the same is true of knowledge. When things are really difficult and really challenging, you know what? You're learning something that's so important for you to learn.
Exactly. But we all
But I don't know who gave us the idea that learning has to be comfortable. It doesn't. And in fact, when it's not, it's even more important learning to be done.
I cannot agree anymore. I mean, that's why I think we should put laws back into the school curriculum. You know, these children need to understand. I'm talking about at primary level on up. There should be a U.S. law and maybe like when they're younger, teach them all about local laws and, you know, states. And then when they're in high school, obviously the federal stuff. But most of our young people don't understand this. They don't understand laws. They don't understand how to even comprehend most law dictionaries and the terminologies. And this all goes back to education, which all goes back to knowledge, which ultimately concludes with China. They manufacture 78% of the world's goods right now as we speak. 80 years ago, that was not the case. 80 years ago, they didn't have quite the educated society. But look at what happened to us. You know, look what happened when Ronald Reagan became the governor of California. He was like, you know, education is not really a right. You know, it's not, you know, we don't even need smart people. And he stripped away, you know, tuition-free education. And now you see the ramification, all the tech workers we have to import. So it's like, on one hand, you have this.
Yeah, our country's facing a moment of reckoning right now. In many places, we have K through 12 teachers on strike in Arizona, and
what's that about?
Where else is that?
Well, what are they striking in Arizona
for?
Well,
it's about what you're. And that's a right to work state, which means, of course, right to work without rights. So they have unions that require union pays, union dues, and of course, unions can't do what they need to do without some financial structure in place. But so we have teachers on strike because just like they were in Oklahoma and in Tennessee, because of the kinds of policies that we saw under Reagan, which is stripping our educational system of the resources it needs so that students can be taught what they need to learn. And you can't have faculty who are financially insecure doing what we want them to be doing in the classroom. So teachers across this nation are saying, look, United States of America, you've got to put some money toward education. That it's not, it costs, books cost, it costs money to support students. It costs money to pay a teacher. And if we value our future generation, then, we have to pay the price. Putting some resources here.
I can, this is beyond me. It's almost like the people who are running the show wants us to be dumbed down, and that's obvious for a bunch of different reasons. But the consequence of this, I don't think anyone's really prepared to really contemplate. If we lose the technological race, it's over. We're done. We're done. We're going to be carved up like a big fat Thanksgiving turkey on the global supper table. And that's what we are. It's not funny. There's going to probably be everything west of Mississippi.
No, it's not.
It's going to be speaking Chinese, and everything east is going to be speaking Russian. It's going to be horrible because I'm not good with Chinese. I might want to jump across the river. Because of the way we're going, we're ununified as a people. And that's not funny, but it's sad. And hopefully,
right.
The reason why I'm making these shows and doing everything, and others too, it's not just the other morning show, but others, is because I want to see a unified America. I might be a patriotic sap, but I'm one with a conscience, and I'm one who desires the truth and who understands that, for better or for worse, a lot of the indoctrination I received was coming from a certain point of view that really isn't conducive with the type of world I would like to personally see, come about. I want to see a world where women are not basically, you go on the job site, you're talking to shop, and you find out this chick's making like $3 less than you, and she's been here for fucking 2 years. Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean it. I'm trying to clean up my act a little bit, but she's been here longer than you. That's the type of stuff upsets me, because they're going to cheat her. By God, they'll cheat me just the same way. We got to stand together on this. At the end of the day, we all have babies.
That's exactly right.
But what we were talking about, something that was really important in the last show too. I want to make sure we hit all these bullet points, because I'll be damned if they destroy this video on me. Oh my God. I was thinking about, it was like towards the banking system, as far as the banking system, because we all know banking and education goes hand in hand. If you're too dumb to count the numbers, then obviously you can't exploit people by using numbers. And I guess what fields, for younger folks, if you was, counseling, say people 18 to 25, what academic courses would you say that they should go for as far as potential jobs in the future?
Oh, well, I think, computer science is, of course, you've mentioned technology, and having a strong background in computers is only going to benefit you. And that's true in every field. In fact, I can't think of one that's not a really valuable skill set to have. Mm-hmm. So computer science is great. And I would always try to complement a tech-oriented degree with liberal arts, so that you have the thinking skills to make sure you can challenge authoritarianism and other things that you may be drawn into without good critical thinking skills to question.
And then we know that's
so.
Sure.
A philosophy, fold in a philosophy, fold in sociology, fold in anthropology.
Ooh.
One of those.
That's excellent. That is excellent. Hold on one second now. We were talking also the last time about the land issue. That's what I was having, that senior moment back there. And I want to make sure we go over this clearly. We kind of alluded to earlier in this conversation about the United States, but back in the other conversation, I had mentioned South Africa and the land acquisition. And then I segued it to North America and what the Native Americans endured as far as their land being seized or whatnot. And the solution to that, Doctor, the solution to that.
Well, yeah, you know what? We act as if, there's just no realistic solution, but we're a smart people, and we absolutely can come up with a solution. We did after World War II, and that actually isn't the right language to use. We didn't make Japanese Americans who were interned whole again, because that would require completely taking away that experience of being imprisoned by your own country. But reparations were made, and it was something that was part of taking responsibility for a wrong and trying to at least pay something toward that healing process and giving people a financial support to go forward. So, we have a model for what it looks like. So we should be making reparations. We did it after World War II. For some reason, we run away from it consistently, persistently when it comes to African Americans and slavery. But, at the time of when the United States was founded, up to 80% of everything that was being exported from the British colonies at that moment was produced via slave labor. So there could be no doubt to its contribution to the nation's success economically.
Now, can't we also track
time
that
to make
down?
reparations? So what?
But we can track down what you're talking about right there through the corporate records. There are records corporations held. I'm not talking about the little guy wherever in Buckwater County. I'm talking about the corporation that owned the mines, the corporations that actually own some of the larger plantations.
Yes, absolutely.
And we should be able to track down those descendants.
And then after the abolition of slavery, after the Civil War, we had all these, speaking of mining companies, that's when the mining companies really were underway. And, we were heading into the Industrial Revolution in this country. So that was a time when they were, falsely arresting, sound familiar, African Americans for vagrancy and such terrible crimes as that. Tossing them into prison so they go work in the mines till their death.
Oh my! See, folks, see how they use the prison industrial complex as a weapon. Okay, we'll free you, Charlie. We'll free you. Oh, why are you on the street corner? He don't have a home, Bob. Okay, send him to jail. And when you're in jail, when you're incarcerated, you no longer have any rights.
You'll go work.
You have to go to work. And what happens
if
you don't
free
go
labor?
Yes, free labor. There's no reason. There's no reason that we should not rein in all this power the corporations have. Let's face it. The corporation, they own the education. We have Betsy DeVos up there basically wanting to privatize education. And we talked about on Saturday a little bit. Mark and Judge Joe Brown talked about that. But we have, I cannot stress this point enough. Where we're basically at in this country is fascism. Fascism, American corporations, and the government. Well, that's what we have. Bobby, Bill, Bo over here on the side. It's going to be some sort of corporation. This is what we're up against. And don't forget, these people had the time, the resources, and the intellect to put this whole damn thing together. There's one thing a guest always says, Mark from Anaheim on the show. The more you think you're fighting the system, the more you're doing exactly what the system wants you to do. And hopefully through education, guys, not saying that all the answers are in a book, because you also have to take into consideration the people who write the book might not have the best interest for you in that book. So you have to take that and strive. Try to grasp the knowledge.
Absolutely.
And then we can use it together to build bridges, to build lines of communications. Because if we stop talking with one another, at the end of the day, we're all in this boat together. Think of America as a huge boat. We're all in this together. Some of you will be below decks. Sometimes you'll come up and you have to go back down below decks. But we've kind of hit an iceberg, folks. The band is fucking playing over here with all this Fox News and all this other damn propaganda and shit. And while you're over here, do you need to pull your pants up and all this craziness, spank your children? It doesn't matter. The boat is sinking. If either we need to fix a hole in the hull, or else we need to jump and abandon this damn ship. Because I'm telling you, look, doctor, I don't know if you're aware of this, but America, and I'm not trying to sound like some kook job, and this is coming from multiple sources, is heading for a civil war. And then we're at the same time, we're potentially headed for a global conflict. Now, how do you think white supremacy will play out in all that chaos?
Well, when you think about the big divide that has become pretty clear for so many people, it has emerged amidst the election of Donald Trump as the 45th president. people's own family members. There were a number of, I can't remember the data to give you numbers, but there is data that shows that after that election, the following Thanksgiving, there was a record number of people who didn't get together with their family because they knew that they weren't going to be able to handle the political conversation that they expected would inevitably arise. And I know I heard numerous stories like that from students and other, just anecdotal pieces of information. So the divide, part of what Donald Trump has tapped into is the white supremacy below the surface in U.S. culture and society. And so it, of course, is playing a huge role in this divide. Some people who see that, who see people as superior, as the vision for our future,
right.
And which would be make America great again, back to our white supremacist roots, or those who have a different vision, one that is more aligned with justice and equality for all of our people.
But see, that's where I want to be, Doctor. I want to be justice and equality for all, for real. Not just when the cameras are around, but like actually in our hearts. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no reason why we should have a social psychopathic cop with a badge around here pulling people over, killing them, raping them, like that one cop did down in Oklahoma, raped like 20-something women of color because they had parking violations and all this and that and the other. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. It's funny. We can have the empathy. We have the empathy in all this for, the little kid in England, that the people want to kill, right? Basically the English government, for those who don't know, there's a little boy in England. They took him off life support.
Unplug. Yeah.
Yes. All right. And the Italian government, they stretch out their arm. They're like, bring us the boy and he become a citizen and we'll take care of him. Right. All this outrage, people crying, a lot of activity. All right. No one gives a fuck about cuckoo or kaichu or hoo-hoo or woo-woo on some boat from some godforsaken wasteland like our president says a shithole. But the reason why it's a fucking shithole, guys, is because you have Goldman Sachs, you have the International Monetary Fund totally raping that country, totally pulling all of its resources out, putting in these corporations to exploit the people and their work. And that's why you get that little diamond from all, the little blood diamond and all that. Well, people want to escape that nonsense. But it's like when they try to escape, why are you coming over here with your diseases and your tuberculosis and you're raping our women and all this nonsense? It's like, in all fairness, like the people who create the problem in these refugees' homeland are now refusing to accept the refugees who just want to live.
That's right.
And I find it disgusting.
That's right.
It's disgusting, but no one ever talks about this.
It's pretty rare. That's exactly right. Right. I know. I think about all of the different conflicts that my country has been in just over the duration of my life so far. And almost every one of them, this nation's policies in the past had a hand in creating, from Central and South America to Iran and Iraq, now Afghanistan, and of course, Korea.
Yes.
And Vietnam. I mean, we're the cause, and now we want to just treat it as it's this problem that's a feature of this moment in history instead of one we created through actions in the past.
And that's where I say.
And again, most of us.
That's why I say our conversations that we have are so uncomfortable to those who don't want to hear this truth. Because what you just said, there's no way to take that any other kind of way. We basically created the problem, and now when the repercussion of that problem is literally marching at our borders, we're like, hey guys, pull up your bootstraps, go back home and work it out. And there ain't no way they could do that, and we know this. Right.
We've actually ensured it. Yeah, we have to. Again, to me, so much of this goes back to just the poor historical knowledge that we have, and part of it, it isn't that everybody has to go love history in high school, but rather that high schools have to give us history that's just better than what they're
Yes.
giving us.
Yes.
Because most of the high school history books are giving us this version of reality and of our past that is completely inadequate. It submerges our imperialism, our using threat of communism to
Yes.
justify invading all these other countries, which, oh, by the way, served, just as you suggested, served the 1% of this nation in accumulating more wealth in doing so. So we just have to start learning so that we can understand, so that we can be active in our country's choices today, informed about what the interests are and how we might go about making good international policy.
That is so funny you use that word interest, because whenever we go to war, we're always fighting for our interests. But when people hear that, yeah, our interests,
No, we're fighting for the interests of the percent.
Yes, doctor. It's literally interest on that money.
And they frame it as, we're have an interest for the American people, presumably, right, in oil.
Yeah.
We don't need that oil. We need money put into the development of renewable
resources,
energy sources in this country.
Yeah, and that's another thing we talked about. I know the doctor is running short in time, but that's another thing we talked about in the last video. We have to get away from the old fossil fuel and the steam system. We're basically in a steam age with a little microchip on the end of it. We might as well be shoveling coal into our cars. We might as well be shoveling coals into our cars to make this thing go. But the reality is that we should, there's no reason why we shouldn't have spaceships flying. Star Trek, folks. We're never gonna get there with a coal rocket, oil burning, jet propulsion, whatever. It's just basically oil based.
That's right, and we should be investing in that alternative energy source in places where coal miners will be unemployed, and train coal miners to be able to fill those jobs. I mean, we've got to support people to make a living. I mean, I get that coal miners are upset, but coal is not going to it doesn't serve the planet, and it will not serve its people. But they should be fighting for jobs and job training that will remove their families from dependency on coal mining work.
Proud, the company man, it was for, Boss Hog over here having a coal mine, we wouldn't have no work around here, and they're coughing and gagging up black shit. And it's like, how do we reach those people who are like this, so I guess conform to the system that they're willing to fight for the system and ensure that it stays, so they keep their little crumbs?
Well, how do we get all these young men to go have their body parts blown up for this country? But it's never really for this country. It's really for the 1% most of the time.
Yes.
How do we do that? We play on their masculinity, right?
Right.
We say, the few, the proud, the Marines, you're a real man if you come and, show your stripes in these ways. So what did coal companies do? They promoted masculinity through being a coal miner. Right? We boost people's egos through constructs of masculinity and femininity, though in different ways. And it gets us to participate in things that are ultimately very harmful and even deadly. To
us, to the person, to the individual.
To the actual individual.
And not to mention the planet, as we're talking, I'm just remembering so much of that last interview. And it's like, what we're doing to the environment, folks, and this goes back to renewable resources. All right. If you ever look at the country of Liberia right now, when Shell and Exxon them pulled out because of the conflicts, it's like little warlords came in and started making riverside refineries where they're taking the crude oil and refining it right there on the river. And you look at it, they had like a camera situation on a helicopter, and you see the oil and gasoline like all over the place. And my thing is, people are buying this in the real world, or not the real world, but the Western world rather. if we took money out of the equation, that part of the world would not be decimated by this illegal oil activity, but I get it. You got to get your little Starbucks coffee, you got to, drive up and down the street. I get it. I understand. I'm not trying to send us back into the Stone Age. I'm trying to avoid us from going into the toxic age, where our kids are coming out all deformed and, you have to go outside with respirators and you got to pee in a bucket to drink because the water's unfit to drink. That's what I'm trying to avoid for all of us, because that will no longer just be a black or white or gay or straight issue. That would just be a human issue. If you can't drink the water or breathe the air, guess what? You're not superior to shit. You're just your ass out. And we're doing this now. And it's not us, but it is us, because we're not in the street saying, hey.
Well, but it is us because we're acquiescing to it, right?
Yes.
I mean, look. So obviously, some of us voted for Trump. The man's in the White House, So I mean, I really think that misogyny is one of the primary reasons the man's in the White House. I think so many men couldn't vote for a woman, and Hillary Clinton in particular. So I think we still haven't. Lots of people just want to focus on racism, and there is plenty of that. But it's more than that. It's straight out misogyny, hatred of women that played a huge role as well.
I mean,
so we got to come to
reconciliation.
We play a role. Yeah, we play a significant role in the troubles that we're in, because we're just passive. And I actually think that's one of the biggest challenges that we face. We're so caught in the rat race. We're made to work all the time. Your cell phone's always with you. You're getting work stuff 24/7. We're getting paid less and working more, and so we're constantly in this space of generating for a company, for wherever the place is that we work, and what it has done is, and then we're desperately trying to spend whatever moments we can with our kids and our family. And so that has left like zero time for reflection, for really looking up to see what the hell we're doing. What are you doing? We're just so caught up in, we really have become the hamster on the wheel.
Wow.
And we need to find ways to stop so that we can really see what it is we're participating in, the society we're producing, where we, the taxpayer people, are allowing our money to be spent by federal, state, and local governments, because it's not going to our schools in adequate ways.
Right.
It's not going to support social safety nets. So where is it going? How many more nuclear bombs do we need?
That we're never going to use. I mean, we're not. We're just going to use them on our own people.
Hopefully.
I mean, it's so sad. No, seriously, it's so sad that you mentioned the whole nuclear thing, because when you say the nuclear bomb, I'm also thinking about the moon landing and NASA and all these satellites everywhere. All right. And then when you said, well, where's all the money going for our income taxes and all this? All I'm thinking about is the Federal Reserve. That money that they're printing up, that the Treasury picks up and hands out to banks. We're paying the interest on that, folks. So every $1 that they print, we have to pay back 10, because it's 1-to-9 ratio. So, guys,
crazy.
Yeah, it's beyond crazy, because now once it's brought out into
the light, you and I, I'm going to have to say goodbye soon. But so you and I have pretty much been talking about how messed up it all is. So let's try to leave with giving people something really concrete and positive that we can do to take even just a tiny step toward that that society, that way of being that is just and focused on equity. So what do you think?
I think that we need to do one thing, is look at ourselves. Take just 5 minutes today, just 5 minutes. Don't mess with the children. Don't mess with the bills. Don't mess with none of it. And actually reflect upon life, because that has been the most profound thing I have taken, because that is so real. Because if you're constantly thinking of others, you can never get yourself right, and then stop participating in the things that are detrimental to self.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I love that. Well, what I would suggest for folks to do is to commit to reading a little history, just a little bit, like literally 5 pages of a history book every few days. Learn some good history so that you understand why we are where we are. Why is it that we today, your kids, my kids, is living under a President Donald Trump? There's a very real reason we're here. And we need to get it, to understand the history that got us here. And I'm very proud of the book, Birth of a White Nation. There are so many other great books. There's White by Law. There's The Color of Law. There's The Color of Money. There's Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow. Wow. I mean, there are fantastic and such important books to read.
I'm going to put the link down in the description to your book again and to your website again. You know, Dr. Jacqueline Battalora, we are so thank you so much for, you know, just being a friend of the show and truly a wonderful human being.
Thank you. Thanks for all the good that you're contributing to the world. Take care, everybody. Have a great spring.
Yes. Bye. Awesome. Look, folks, I honestly, as you could tell, I was not prepared to do this live feed today. Okay. But you know, when you're talking to the good doctor and she says, hey, let's just do it. You're going to do it. You know, I want to take this time out to seriously thank all the fans of the show. You know, I'm talking about the folks that, you know, even before we had on Judge Joe Brown and Mark from Anaheim and Jane Elliott and John Lear and all the rest of them, you know, you guys actually watched, you know, a couple guys in the backyard blossom into what we're blossoming into. And, you know, I just want to salute you all and tell you, you know, I'm personally grateful for all the comments, you know, all the time actually watching all the materials. So once again, folks, please check out Dr. Jacqueline Battalora's book, The Birth of a White Nation. And I will have the link down to Amazon in the description on this video. Thank you for all comments during the video and everyone bearing with me on this video. I try to do it on Facebook, but I don't know, you know, hopefully YouTube. Oh, YouTube in the sky, you know. Yes, the next show will be Jane Elliott tonight on Special Report. This show at 6 p.m. Central Time and 4 p.m. What is that? 4 p.m. Pacific Time. So please join in. I will have everything ready. You know, everything will be set up. We'll be rocking and rolling. It's going to be a great show. Thank you all. And like I asked, just reflect that. And also do like the good doctor asked too. You know, pick up a history book. You know, read 5 pages. You know, and then put it down, come back to it. And that start becoming your base of knowledge. And then it'll grow and grow. But until then, this has been Special Report. True Power is Mine. Thank you.